Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks of the ResellerMindset.com. And for this Reseller Friday, I want to talk to you about why reselling might not be ideal for you. And the reason I'm going at it from this direction is sometimes if you see the side of why something's not ideal, it can show you more whether it is good for you or not. Because every year there are tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe more than that, people getting into reselling, and there's probably about the same number, maybe more, getting out of reselling. Many people go into reselling with expectations of getting rich quick. They saw somebody buy something at a thrift store for $5 and they sold it for $1,000. Now they're thinking, I'm going to make money. It's just that easy. It's printing money. And the reality is reselling is very easy, but the thing many times people leave out of that is the fact that there's a lot of hard work. Doesn't mean reselling is difficult. It is not, but you're going to put some hours in. You cannot treat this like a part-time job and get full-time results. It is an interesting business where, unlike many other businesses, and I've founded tech companies and brought them into being multi-million-dollar businesses, sometimes you could put 100% more effort in those businesses and only get 20% more results. But reselling is very unique in the fact that if you doubled your effort today in your reselling business, you would generally double your results. That's why I say it's easy, because it is. Now, obviously, as you scale up, things get more complex, it becomes more difficult, but it's not because reselling is difficult on its own. Also, as you scale up, you get employees, you get people helping you, you get automation in certain areas. Actually, you get some of the workload taken off of your shoulders. But reselling might not be ideal for you if you're lazy. If you want something that's just easy and you could treat it like a hobby, you're not going to put any hard work in. You're not going to have to study. You're not going to learn. You're not going to have to grow as a person, improve your character. Because character, while no one talks about this, character is hugely important because it will build you relationships you need to get good inventory consistently that can bring you great results. Because here's one of the things. While most resellers enjoy thrifting and going out to garage sales and flea markets and whatever it may be, they enjoy the sourcing part. As you scale up, you start to need different sources of inventory, because if you're spending 8 hours outsourcing every day, that's 8 hours you're not listing, you're not fulfilling orders, you're not doing all the things you need to be doing. And of course, you hire employees for things like that. But basically, it's 8 hours wasted. And you get up to a certain level, you will be outsourcing 8 hours a day if you're doing the thrifting and garage sales and flea market route, because you need more inventory, and you need enough inventory to be able to list and meet your listing goal throughout the week in order to keep the sales coming in and be able to pay your employees and, of course, yourself. So you can't be lazy. Now, I know there's plenty of lazy resellers out there. There's lazy people in any kind of business, any kind of job. But I'm talking to people who want to be a success, not just people who want a little bit of money to pay part of a car payment or something like that. I'm talking about people who want to earn at least 6 figures a year, maybe get into millions a year. You're going to have to do things differently, and you cannot be lazy. It just will not work. Another reason why reselling might not be ideal for you is if you're not teachable. I've talked to new resellers, and they'll ask me a question, and I'll show them how to do something that would improve their business. And then a week or two later, when I talk to them again, they haven't implemented a single thing I said. Now, they don't have to do anything I say, but if you're getting wisdom from somebody who's been where you are today and they're way ahead of you, they've seen all the various options you have and they know which one's the best to get the best results, and then they don't even do anything with the information they've been given, you're going to fail. And I've given this example before of a reseller who was getting new into the reselling business. At this particular time, not anymore, but this particular time, there was a list I was subscribed to that was not cheap, but it was a good list of people who found certain retail arbitrage opportunities that made huge profit. It was a very limited list of 10 people on that list. It was not oversold. Everybody was profiting on that list. And I said, there's one spot open in that list. Get on that list, pay the money. Now they have another list that is cheaper that everyone can get on. There's no cap to that. The deals there are not going to be good because it is flooded. Do not get that list. What do you think they did? Well, I wanted to save some money, so I went the cheaper route. I got the cheaper list. It'll probably be just as good. Even when I told them from experience, because I just bought both lists and I tried them out, and I saw that second list that was the list that everyone could get onto was not very good. It wasn't that the items weren't good. It was just there's so many people buying them and so many people with no business in reselling and no business sense at all. They would buy something for $5 and they're turning around and selling it for 10 when the going rate on the market was 30. So they were destroying the market for those items. And the people on the more expensive list that was very limited, fortunately, were not foolish like that. So you have to be teachable. If someone who's been reselling for years and is successful at it gives you some wisdom, look into ways to implement it. Now, maybe it doesn't apply to your business, but it probably does. Especially if you ask them a question, why are you not listening to it? Being unteachable will crush your reselling business because you'll just keep going doing what you think works, what you think's right. And while the marketplaces are consistently changing, customers' desires are changing, you'll keep buying the same old product that sold 10 years ago, but doesn't sell anymore because you're not growing, you're not learning, and you're not even open to learn. You're not open to instruction, and you go down that fool's path of ignorance and lacking wisdom and refusing and resisting wisdom and instruction, and it cannot lead to success. Now, another reason why reselling might not be ideal for you, and this can be a little odd, but it's thinking that you need money to be successful. One of the principles of reselling is that you don't need money. You can literally start with the clothes on your back. Just sell things you have around the house. And on most marketplaces, you don't have to pay anything up front. You just list the item that you paid nothing for because you already owned it and start getting some sales. The reason why this can be a distraction if you think you have to have money to be successful in reselling is because the people who go in and they say, well, I'm going to cash out my 401k. I'm going to invest it all in reselling. I've seen people do these kind of things. They take out loans on their credit cards, do all kinds of nonsense, which could work if they were already in a successful reselling business. They had sources to get more supply and they had the means to actually get the supply listed. It could actually work out. But I see so many people starting out. They're newbie resellers. They're not doing all that well, but they're not doing terrible. And they go and invest a bunch of money in thinking it's going to make them the success they want to be. But if you invest a bunch of money in bad inventory because you're not very knowledgeable, because you're not learning enough, and you don't know what is good and what's bad, you have some idea, but not very much. It doesn't matter if you have $1 billion. If you invest $1 billion in garbage inventory, you're not going to be getting very many sales. There is something very important to being that scrappy reseller who's making things work. You don't need to go buy an expensive thermal printer when you can literally go to the post office or FedEx or UPS and have them scan a QR code and print your label for you. And yes, that does waste some time, but when you're getting started, that's all you have is time. You don't have 50 items to be getting QR codes scanned. You have 1 or 2 that you sold. So it doesn't take that much time. And you save the money that you would have been investing into that thermal printer. And you can invest that money into more higher quality inventory that will sell quickly. And as you get better and better, and you start to improve and perfect your models, your business models that you're working and how you're finding inventory, the kind of inventory you're getting, how quickly you get the inventory listed, the pricing structure, all these things, as you improve and perfect that, you can start putting more money into the business and start getting even greater results from that investment. But just going all in, and when you don't know what you're doing really, you are not established, and you haven't been super successful yet, so often I've seen that crush people and leave them in debt, leave them with a bunch of inventory nobody wants to buy. And I've bought numerous eBay businesses, Amazon businesses from people where they're going out of business for this very reason. They went all in, they invested a bunch of stuff, they took second mortgages, I did all kinds of crazy stuff financially, got a bunch of inventory, and then it wouldn't sell. And they got to the point where they couldn't even pay for the Amazon loan or the working capital loan, and they had to just sell their business because there's just nothing there. I don't want you to be in that position. I want you to be the person who is creative and thinks. Amazon.com, Jeff Bezos did not have fancy, special imported desks in his office. He had literally doors that he got from, I believe, his Home Depot, and made them into desktops to put their computers on, to put their supplies on. And you can read about that in my book, Work Smarter and Harder. But there's something to that. If you just get going, make do with what you have, make things work, become more creative and think about your business, and get out there and find good quality inventory. And as you keep improving and you start seeing the good results from your efforts, the fruit starts coming in, then you can start putting more money into the business. But if you think you're going to buy your way to success in reselling, I've seen so many people fail miserably at that because they haven't built the character that's needed to run that type of reselling business, and all the money in the world can't fix it. It'll just go down the tubes, and it happens over and over. Every single year, there's resellers coming to me trying to sell me their inventory because they're going out of business because they got in too over their heads because they weren't ready for the investment they were willing to put into the business, which is a good idea, just not at the position they were in. So my friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. I pray this has given you some ideas, something to think about and meditate about. Maybe you need to change your mindset about a few things so you can become the success in your reselling business that you need to be and that you deserve to be. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.